VoxWave now features a streaming radio media player on our website's front page, where local artists can get their music played 24/7. For more information on getting your music in rotation or to perform live at our studio, contact Reg Gaskins at 240-832-4455.
Android users, the VoxWave app is now available in the Google Play Store. Download the app today on your Android device to listen in and view programs.
Business owners looking for a place to advertise your business and promote your products and services? VoxWave is the right place. We have over 10,000 views a day and 70,000 listeners a month. For more information, contact Reg Gaskins at 240-832-4455.
The world's #1 streaming music station, VoxWave.com.
We have your favorite shows on VoxWave.com. Check out our lineup. The Kim Show, Mondays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. In the End We Win with Curtis, Mondays, 8:15 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. Cooking with Flavors with your host, Chef Flavors, Tuesdays, 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Slick Daddy Rick, Heartbeat Congo Hour, Tuesday, 8 to 10 p.m. Impact the World Radio TV Show with Cheryl Woods, Wednesday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. The Digital Digest with your host, Digital Ace, Wednesdays, 3 to 5 p.m. Live Set Wednesdays with your host, Frank Dent, Wednesdays, 8 to 9 p.m. The BGKH Show with your hosts, Dominion and Epic, Wednesdays, 9:15 to 10:15 p.m. You, Math, and Me with George Randall, Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Then, on Thursdays at 5:30 p.m., The Prayer, Praise, and Deliverance with Elder Thurman Gorman Jr., The 640 Evening Show, Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The Peace in the Morning Show with your host, Darius A. Stanton, co-host, Delicate Daryl Barnes, and Queen Ayakidobi, Fridays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. The Hall Street Journal with your host, Robert Hall, and co-host Clarence Sanders, Fridays, 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Frank, The Success Principles, Friday, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Chanel's 3 Cents, Friday, 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. The Daryl Allen Harrison II Crime Victims Foundation Show, hosted by Daryl Harrison II, every Friday from 3 to 4:30 p.m. The Rush Hour with DJ Drew and Janique, every Friday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Different Minds Show, hosted by DJ Bam 640 and DJ Andre Michael, and your co-host, MC Fran, every Friday, 9:15 p.m. to 11:15 p.m. The Healer Blues Show, with host Ron Jackson, every Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Hour of Power, with your host, Reverend Winters Rogers, every Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And again, the Prayer, Praise, and Deliverance with Elder Thurman Gorman Jr., Saturday, 11 p.m. to 12 p.m. And don't forget Four Sisters Live Talk, Saturday at 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. Turning dreams into reality talk show with your host, Tashika L. Green, every second Saturday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Walk in Newness 24/7 with Missionary Antoinette, Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. News, ULM, news and analysis, information, sports, and black history with your news anchor, Roderick Carter Willis, 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Step your game up with the Youth Project, hosted by DJ Main and DJ Low Hefe, Saturday, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And don't miss The To-Go Show with Kim Brown, Saturdays 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. I am Dr. Sharon Show, each Sunday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., featuring The Grind, Entrepreneur Network Spotlight, and Write the Book Now. The Riri Williams Show, Fashion and Style Hour, every first Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. Real Talk 101, Sundays 6 to 8 p.m. And every third Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m., the Third Sunday Tea Talk Show with Dr. Akita Pearson. Gospel Live TV Show with host Gloria Mello, each Sunday from 8:15 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. Listen to all your favorite shows on VoxWave.com.
VoxWave.com. VoxWave.com, streaming your favorite jazz, blues, and R&B 24/7.
Welcome to the I Am Dr. Sharon Show, featuring educators, authors, and entrepreneurs. You can join us live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please follow Dr. Sharon across all social media platforms at I Am Dr. Sharon. And now your host, Dr. Sharon H. Porter.
Happy amazing Sunday. I am Dr. Sharon, and you have joined the I Am Dr. Sharon Show. So excited for you to be here today. You know I must give a shout out to all of my sponsors. First of all, to James Adele Custom Clothier, where you will find extravagant fabrics and custom tailoring, all at an affordable price. You can find him on Instagram at James Adele CC. And also the Working Folks Guide to a PhD. You definitely want to check them out if you're a doctoral student and you are trying to finish your dissertation. You can find them on Facebook as well as Instagram. And also author Shantae Conyers. Her book is Being Pretty is Hard Work, Broken, Psalms 51:17. Definitely check out her book, and she can also you can also find her book on Amazon. So today we are here for another dynamic show, and my first guest is Mr. Joe Green. He has served educational leaders to establish partnerships with the corporate and civic community, effectively generating career pathways and instructional training for K-12 students in some of the most impoverished communities in urban America. From 2002 to 2015, he worked as a development officer and secured over $20 million for the arts and STEM-based programs in Chicago and Washington, D.C. Joe is currently a program accountability, gender equity, and civil rights coordinator for the State Office of Career and Technical Education in the District of Columbia, Office of the State Superintendent. He is also a docent at the Smithsonian Museum of African Art and a volunteer at the National Museum of African American History. Mr. Joe Green, welcome.
Thank you very much, Doctor. How are you doing this morning?
I am so awesome. Just so glad to have you here. You are a busy man.
I try to be busy. I try to be purposeful in life.
Absolutely. So where do we start? Oh, my goodness. I actually want to start with the museum because that's a passion.
Oh, yes. That is my avocation. When I was 18, 19, 20 years old, my mom and I were docents at the Chicago DuSable Museum of African American History, and that's really where I got my start in my interest in African American history and African American art. And so she and I would spend Saturdays talking to kids and their parents and the different school leaders about the history of Black Chicago and also the history of our struggle in the United States and beyond. My interests developed over the years, and when an opportunity came up for me to be a volunteer at the African American Museum, obviously I took it. And but I found, and when I was taking folks around, not a docent there, I'm a volunteer, but after studying our history and how I connected the dots from the point of the transatlantic slave trade all the way through the 21st century, I realized that our story goes beyond that, but I didn't really know what that story was. And so an opportunity came up for me to train as a docent at the African Art Museum, and I still am so surprised and so amazed about how much we have in us as Africans and as African Americans in terms of our spirituality, in terms of our consciousness, in terms of our ability to go way beyond what we presently are as people. And so that told me the story of where we were before the transatlantic slave trade, and it also told me why we are who we are as African Americans.
Absolutely. It must, and you volunteer, so that already tells you the passion level.
Yes. I'm normally there every other Saturday.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And your work with the CTE, and you can also say it, but I know you're here as an individual.
I'm here as an individual, and my thoughts and my expressions do not necessarily reflect those of the Office of the State Superintendent of Education.
Absolutely. And so with your work with STEM and our youth, K-12, you know, education is a passion for me. Talk a little bit about your work that you do.
Yes, our office, we do a program and administration with regards to pass-through federal funding that is administered and that is given to us by the Perkins Fund. And the Perkins Fund was really designed about 22 years ago to provide a alternative or another pathway for students seeking post-secondary credentialing or licensing. And so our state, our District of Columbia, we promote over 13 industry clusters, which range anywhere from architecture to entrepreneurship to STEM programs. And so basically what our office does is that we pass through these funds to DCPS and LEAs, other school districts, which we call LEAs, local education agencies. And we ensure that these fundings to these LEAs are monitored and that they are exhibited and that the students progress in these programs in a way that it's outlined by the CTE guidelines, Perkins guidelines.
Wow. And so with STEM, and you know, that is, it's STEM and STEAM actually is really getting a lot of highlight now. And my take on that with our females, because we know that historically our female students have been lacking in that area, but we are progressing. We're coming up as we are. Absolutely. So are there any specific focus or interest in guiding our young female students into STEM careers?
Not only is there a special focus, there's a priority to do so. And so what we have done and what we do every year is that we have a Aussie CTE. We host a young women's and a young men's conference. But originally, the original intent 6 years ago was to create a conference exclusively just for women. And with the idea is to engage our young women, our young students into non-traditional career areas, such as architecture or such as STEM. And so what we've done every year is that we bring professionals from various industries, and we had about 7 different industries come this year, women from Georgetown University, George Washington University, and health sciences. We had a health ethics lawyer, we had MD, we've had health administrators. We also, in entrepreneurship, we've had folks who started their own businesses, women. In the past, we've had the chief medical officer for the district speak about her journey, being a chemist and moving up to a PhD level. And so we have several examples in the district of women who excel extremely in their fields and who stand as strong role models to our women. Later on this year, next month in May, we are partnering up with Microsoft. And Microsoft is hosting a DigiGirls conference, and we are targeting 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls from the district to spend a day on coding, the basics and the introduction of coding, with the intent and with the understanding that and hope that our young girls will be able to find interest. They'll understand the pathways and they'll understand the requirements to engage themselves and be masterful at in this particular area, whether they go into software applications, the apps that you see on your phone, or going to more intense focusing on larger coding that addresses certain needs that we have.
That is awesome. And so and this is only for the district residents?
This particular program that I'm talking about is exclusively for our young girls in the district.
In the district. And so how do they learn more about that?
Well, they can call up the CTE office, and I'll be happy to leave my number and also my email address, and I'll be happy to address for our young girls. But basically what we are encouraging our young girls to do is to talk to their CT administrator, to their principal. We have points of contact through DCPS and also through our local education, our charter schools.
That is awesome. And so you had a hand in securing $20 million for STEM.
That's correct.
And the arts.
That's correct.
Talk to us about that.
Yes, a large portion of that, I was a director of institutional development at the Duke Ellington School of the Arts from 2008 until 2013. And so by the grace of God, one day, I was sitting in my office, and the person who was the executive director at that time had just retired the Friday before. And so Monday I picked up the phone, and a gentleman on the phone said, we were trying to reach your executive director. And I said, well, that person has retired. They said, well, you know, my client wants to give your school some money. And so would you mind coming to our office and talking about the possibilities of doing so, and so we can also understand what your school's program and mission are. So I brought our chair of the Ellington Fund and also our principal at the time, Roy Pullins, to the lawyer's office. And so they had us write down 9 questions. They gave us 9 questions. I responded with a 76-page response.
Wow.
and why we didn't, and they would not disclose how much money that they their client was willing to give us.
Wow.
And so over about a month and a half period, after back and forth tours of the school and with them, their attorneys talking to our arts educators, they decided to release approximately $17.8 million to us. It took about 3 days to transfer that money.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. So what types of services was utilized with these funds?
Yes. The client wanted to support the arts, which is also a CTE program, Arts and AV. And so the 2 major areas that she was interested in was voice and music, music instrumentation. And so those monies were supposed to be used exclusively for those 2 programs. And salaries, equipment, and anything else related to the programming of those 2 particular arts divisions. And so what it also did was it funded, I think at the time, about 2 or 3 full-time positions into perpetuity.
Okay, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So what's next for Mr. Joe Green?
That's a very good question. I am at this time and at this point in my life, I'm 53 years old, and I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy. I'm very happy because I'm blessed with a loving family, and I'm blessed with a great job. I love my job, and I love what I do. And so I have been really looking more inward in terms of what I love. And my avocation is my vocation. I do love being a CTE program accountability coordinator. I love being the civil rights and equity gender coordinator for the district. I love to ensure that our school districts and our schools and our students and teachers and employees have equal access, and that no one has any reason to feel that they are unfairly treated because of race, gender, color, creed, sexual orientation, sexual identification, or otherwise.
Wow.
So that is something I would love to do, and if I were financially independent, I would go to work every day and do it for the rest of my life.
Wow.
I do love to tell our story about Black people. I love to enlighten our youth about their untapped strength and their untapped potential of who they are. Our untapped creativity with regards to our love and interest and talent in music and athletics and spirituality. All these things that we see around us and that we experience as Black people are part of us, and that are a legacy and our inheritance of our African ancestors, which should not be commoditized.
Wow. That is awesome. Do you have a following, professional following, social media, LinkedIn, or anything that people can reach out to you?
No, I don't. I have about, I don't know, 492 Facebook friends, about 1,300 LinkedIn associates, and people I've known over the last 40 years from high school. I haven't answered your question. I want to, my thing is about helping young people.
Yeah.
I'm working on several fronts. I'm helping a young lady run for office in the district. I'm also working with the Return Peace Corps. I was a Peace Corps volunteer. Yes. So I'm working with the Return Peace Corps Volunteer Washington contingent on raising some money. I am, as you know, I'm working at the museum, and I'm doing some fundraising initiatives there. And I'm also working with a young lady who started an organization called Street Entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And it is a accelerator hub located by Howard University in partnership with the mayor's office and Howard University to get young Black men and Hispanics, but primarily Black young adults into starting their own business.
Awesome.
And so I have chosen to serve on their board.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. I tell you. So definitely, if you want to reach out to Mr. Joe Green, you can certainly do that on Facebook and LinkedIn. Mr. Joe Green, I appreciate you for coming down to the I Am Dr. Sharon show and sharing all your knowledge and expertise.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. And guys, we're going to take a quick break, but we will be back with our next guest, Miss Ann Austin.
Thank you. I think that went well.
It's no sound. It's no sound. It is up. Yep, take that off. Facebook. Yeah, it's no sound. You know, it was sound this morning. We tested it. Come on.
She's part of the movement.
Hi, I'm Miranda Dennis, owner of Oasis Clinical Counseling Services.
And I'm Ginika Joyner, owner of Elevation Counseling Services.
And we're here to say, support small businesses and authors.
Join the movement.
Support small businesses. Hey family, be part of the movement.
Support small businesses and authors. Be a part of the movement.
Thank you for coming back with us. I am now here with my guest, Miss Ann Austin. She is CEO and founder of Austin Tech, a small business administration woman-owned consulting company. She's the president and executive director of Destination Achievers Incorporated, a Maryland nonprofit organization that provides outreach services to educate our youth and adults in the areas of career, entrepreneurship, and job retention. She is also the founder of the Businessmen and Women Color podcast, an international podcast platform that highlights new and upcoming small business authors and speakers from around the world. Miss Ann Austin, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharon, for allowing me to come here on your show. I am really excited to be here to work with you on so many different things that we're working on over the last year and in the future. So I'm really just excited.
Absolutely, and I was just thinking it was this time last year that we actually met.
That's right.
Over Facebook.
Over Facebook, yes,
absolutely. And it's amazing of how much has transpired in a year.
Yes.
Because it's only been a year.
Yes, it's only been a year, and it's been a fabulous year because I've been able to touch on so many people over the last couple of years, so many people who have given their time to talk about what they do, to elevate people who look like us in the entrepreneur space, in publishing, and in speaking. And so it's just really been my pleasure to have interviewed so many amazing people.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this podcast because it is time for it to come up again. So tell us about this.
Okay, so the podcast actually was developed in response of the need of while I was teaching career transition. So with Austin Tech specifically, we do career development and we do mentoring. And so one of the ways for me to learn about the new trends or changes in our industry or profession was to find out from people who are actually doing it. And the second thing is that there wasn't a lot of people who look like us in other unique professions. Yes. And so the podcast was designed to get people to tell me about what they do, why they do what they do, and also encourage other people to do what they do. And so it has been a huge success, starting in 2016 with 26 professionals who came out. And then the second year we had 65 participants from all different categories of professions, from legal to mental health to anything you could think of, beauty, health, wellness, everything. This year we have 75 participants with an outrage right now of a focus, I should say, on mental health wellness. We have so many psychologists and mental health therapists coming out to plead with people about their profession because there is a lack of African Americans in the mental health space. And so with this podcast, I'm hoping to reach even more broader scale to raise that awareness, to get us to seek degrees in mental health or psychology or any of those things that can help us move forward with our careers.
Awesome, awesome. And so you founded Austin Tech. Actually, I think you and your husband founded Austin Tech. And so, and it's also really transitioning. So tell us about all of this.
Okay, so in my own career, I found it very difficult because being an IT major, I was either one or the only African-American female IT person in the office. Pretty much there's not a lot of women in IT. And because of that stigma, I also faced a lot of racism. I faced a lot of opposition in just doing my job on a daily basis. That kind of forced me to learn how to use the system to transition and to move myself up the ladder without worrying about whether I'm gonna get a raise and things like that. And so in my efforts, I noticed that my kids were not getting the same type of education when it comes to learning how to be prepared for an unemployment or just getting a job. And so that led me to birth Austin Tech, to just go out there and start teaching what you need to do to prepare for those type of things. So I've been unemployed before, I've been laid off before, and I've been unemployed anywhere between 2 weeks and 3 months. But learning how to prepare early afforded me the opportunity to get back in the game really, really quickly, and a lot of us are not doing that. So with that, for over the last 2 years, I've been going to the public school systems, participating in the Maryland Future Business Leaders Association, going to different organizations and nonprofits to teach career transition. One of the obstacles I had was not being able to get the proper connections because of the type of community work that I was doing. And so Destination Achievers was a concept to bridge the gap between what I was doing and really getting out in the community. And so all of the services for career transition and career preparation and job retention is going to transfer over to Destination Achievers, which you are on my board, which I'm so happy. I have Dr. Sharon as Vice President of Education. We have Paul Garwood, which is in Michigan. He deals with at-risk youth students there, have a basketball team. And we're just so blessed to come together as a team because we all love education and we all love to see our people get forward. And so this is definitely going to be an epic thing that we're going to be doing for the community, not just for Maryland, but also in Detroit, Michigan, as well, and the District of Columbia.
Absolutely. So what are some of the events? Because you have several things that are upcoming.
Okay. So we have a Get the Job workshop, which is going to be on April the 28th, and that's open to the public for anyone that would like to have on-site resume critique, that will really just sit back and learn what it takes to prepare and get a job. It is great for anyone who is 16 and older. It is especially great for those who are seniors looking to get back into the workforce, which is one of the programs Destination Achiever is going to be focused on, and also any veteran that wants to come in and learn about career transition from a civilian perspective. And those are the main programs that I'm having there. We're also having a Veterans Biz Up Conference that is going to be on August 18th at the Holiday Inn, and that one is focused on career, health and wellness, and entrepreneurship.
And it's the Holiday Inn where?
In College Park.
College Park, okay.
Yeah, right off 495, right on Baltimore Avenue. And it's right in front of IKEA. And so we have 9 fabulous certified veteran presenters that's going to come out and talk about each of those areas. We also have the Military Transition Network, and we are so thankful to have University of Phoenix Veterans Outreach Program to be one of our main sponsors, and Keller Williams and a couple other people, Department of Veteran Affairs, to help support our effort to have this conference.
Awesome.
So
are you still seeking sponsors?
Yes, absolutely. We still have open seats for sponsors, so anyone who wants to help out. We're also looking for specialized services to be pop-up vendors, to just give like on-site. So if you have a specialty or any kind of service that would benefit a veteran on site, we would love to have you out there, and you can definitely contact me for any information for that.
And this event is free to
veterans. Veterans and their spouses.
And spouses, awesome.
And for their spouses.
Awesome. So I tell you, so you have, I mean, you really have a lot going on, which is awesome. And it really all centers around career retention, career transition, and educating our youth. So what's next for you?
What's next for me is that I would really love to see Destination Achievers really stand out as being the leader in teaching and bridging the gap between education and entrepreneurship. And just so that people can understand that anytime you're in a career, it's still an entrepreneurship opportunity.
Absolutely.
And people will have choices. And I want people to realize that it's more than just coming out of college and get a specific degree, that they can tap into whatever talent that they have. We just need to get them to achieve their goals, which is our tagline, achieving one goal at a time. It's just getting people to see what they are capable of doing and not be afraid. There's so many of us are afraid to just act on our talents instead of just, experimenting with it. Just dibble and dabble. That's what we talked about in the podcast. And so Destination Achievers is really going to be my primary focus on moving forward and really helping our youth, our seniors, our disabled, our veterans, or anyone that is looking to better themselves and have a better quality of life.
I love that.
Yeah.
And in addition to all of this, you have found time to author a book and
to
be a contributing author in one. So tell us about that.
Okay, so I've had the pleasure to work with Dr. Sharon on her Women Who Lead anthology. And with this book, 20 of us got together and decided to write an excerpt of one piece of our life that talks about the challenges and the obstacles we face in trying to become a leader. I think for me, I wasn't really trying to become a leader. I was just trying to get through and push through my obstacles. But I picked one obstacle of my life, which is the name of my excerpt, which is the unseen light. Where it was the most difficult in my career, where I felt like I was in a box with no light. When I was just boxed in, there was nowhere to go, no one to talk to, and I had to fight my way to find the light to get out.
Wow.
And so if you read my excerpt, it does get emotional. I get emotional when I think about it because it was very hard. But in the end, it made me stronger, it made me smarter, it made me more resilient, to go out there and continue to push through and make sure my light never goes out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm just really thankful for the opportunity to be on your anthology book.
Absolutely.
I've never been on one before, so I was just so excited.
Yes,
and I want people to read the book. There's so many amazing stories. I actually went through and started reading, and I'm going to tell you, it's so much you can't really take it in all in one day.
Right.
You definitely have to pick the book up and read some of the stories.
Absolutely. And I think you have some events coming up at Get Clout, at Clout Workspace.
Yeah, so basically I know that the Get the Job workshop is going to be there. There's also a book signing that I'm also hosting for another organization. I don't have the information right now, but it's going to be on July 28th, where there's going to be a book signing. We also have some business meetups. So we have a women's entrepreneur strategy meetup where I'm gathering women who are interested in starting their business. And what I would like to do with that group is to just walk them through the steps. If they feel stuck at any point along the way, we can work it out and we can get them moving along. Because the whole goal for me is get underneath your grind and get off the ground.
Absolutely.
And that's the tagline for that. And then we just have our general business meetup where you just come and you just meet other people and not just pass out a business card, but actually collaborate, actually build the relationship so that you can move forward as a small business, because that is so critically important.
I love it. So where can they connect with you? Where can they follow you?
They can always find me on Facebook through the Businessmen and Women of Color. You can also find me on my personal one, AnisaAustin.5, or you can find me on LinkedIn and Austin. I'm always on social media, and you can always find me at austintech.com and destinationachievers.org.
Awesome. There you go, guys.
All right.
My interview with Miss Ann Austin. Definitely connect with her. She has so much going on, and if you're a veteran, you definitely need to connect with her for all of these wonderful programs that she has designed. So thank you, Ann.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Absolutely.
It's definitely a pleasure.
Absolutely. And guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with my next guest, attorney Elsa Smith.
All right.
Against your name, the enemy came up against your character. You will win. You will win. The enemy came up against your health. The enemy came up against your finances. The enemy came up against your vision. The enemy came up against your business. You will win. You will win. Yes, you will. I know you're torn. I know you're broken.
Thank you for coming back with us. I am here with my next guest, attorney Elsa W. Smith. She is the founder and principal of the law offices of Elsa W. Smith, LLC. She was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Elsa is a native Spanish speaker. She received her Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of Miami, and she earned her Juris Doctorate from the University of Miami School of Law. Welcome, Attorney Smith.
Dr. Sharon, thank you so much. Good morning to you and your viewers.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And I tell you, I just want to really, I touched just a little bit about your background. I want you to share a little more about some of the things that you've done.
It's my pleasure. Again, thank you so much for having me. As Dr. Sharon, for your views, noted that I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I am a proud Afro-Cuban professional. My parents emigrated from Cuba fleeing communism. So they came to Puerto Rico first, where I was born, and then the family moved to Miami, Florida, where I was raised. I was raised in the inner city. I'm a proud student of the public school system. Even though I was raised in the inner city, my neighborhood, I'm proud to say, was culturally rich. I grew up around Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Haitians, Dominicans, so it was just this rich, beautiful mix. So at an early age, I developed an appreciation for a multicultural way of viewing the world. I graduated from the University of Miami School of Business. And immediately went on to law school, graduated from the University of Miami School of Law. While I was in Florida, I practiced both in civil and criminal litigation, even had my own practice in Florida. About 12 years ago, I transitioned to Maryland when I got engaged. My husband working for the federal government, he still does. And I was working in DC as a contract attorney, doing a lot of electronic discovery work. Worked for a lot of major law firms on K Street, and it really gave me an opportunity certainly to earn a lot of income, but what was lacking was that I wasn't professionally fulfilled. See, I come from a background where we value service and giving back to the community, and I have a long history of doing that. So that's the void that I had. So I said, Elsa, what can you do to give back? So in the fall of 2012, I launched my practice in Maryland. Let me backtrack for a second. It's because this show focuses on entrepreneurship, I need to address the fact that, there are fears, there are concerns that we have before we decide to launch. So I prayed about it. I thought long and hard about it, and I planned, I prepared. Took the Maryland attorney's exam and passed, and at that point, all the signals were there. God was letting me know, Elsa, this is what you were meant to do. Go for it. And it was a risk, as most entrepreneurs do. We are risk takers by nature. I uprooted myself from a state where I had connections, I had the networks, and I moved to Maryland, moved to the DC area, where I really had to reestablish, recreate those connections. And it took time and a lot of hard work and networking and doing good work for people. And as I said, in 2012, I officially launched the practice. I started in Laurel, doing primarily family and criminal justice litigation. Referrals came and they kept coming. Thanks be to God.
Yes.
And the business grew. But as always, I'm thinking, how can I do more? Because ever since I was a little girl, God had placed a certain fire in me and told me, Elsa, you are meant to do great things. And that fire has never died. So here I am a few years into the practice here in Maryland. How can I do more? How can I serve more. So I decided to open a second location, which has now become the main office in Annapolis. But this time, because of the interactions and the networking that I had done over the years, I came across a lot of business owners who, over the years, have come to me with help for their employees when they've had, traffic or family law issues. But what I realized is that the business owners themselves have essential needs.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that has to do with in the business law arena and in estate planning. And that's when I had my aha moment. So here is yet another segment that I could serve. So when I opened the office in Annapolis, I decided that that was going to be my main focus, to assist entrepreneurs, business owners with business law and contractual needs, as well as estate planning. We have, and I'm confident that we have a lot of female business owners in your viewing
Yes.
audience. And shockingly, many of them don't consult with an attorney on a regular basis, and they haven't done any estate planning. And even basic estate planning. What am I talking about? Wills, a power of attorney, an advanced medical directive. Those are the basics that I think we all need. So I decided to focus on that.
Wow. And so when a business owner reach out to you, are they on a retainer, or is it how do you work with them? Is it various ways that they can work with you?
Absolutely. The first and the typical contact is usually a consultation.
Okay.
I want to find out where this business owner is, what stage of development they're in. Are they in what I call the infancy stage? Are they considering what type of entity is best suited for them? Or are they an established business and they want someone to partner with them to help them grow? So they need an attorney to not only consult as they grow, but to assist them in drafting contracts, negotiating contracts. And we're talking about vendor contracts, sales contracts, employment contracts. The needs are great. So we assist them not only in a consultation, but they can also hire us and keep us on retainer.
Okay.
For a longer
period.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. And so with your business law, and specifically with the contracts, because I know in working with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, we are always sending out contracts and receiving contracts. What do you think is the one most mistake that is made in these contracts?
Well, one that I see quite often, and as a matter of fact, I talked about this on my blog, on my website, is DIY or do-it-yourself contracts. Business owners think that they are saving a few dollars by going on a website and just throwing something together, and the mistake that they make is that they think that they're saving money in the short run, but when there's a breach or somebody doesn't fulfill their side of the contract, then they're picking up the phone, calling my office, and I have to undo what they did. And instead of spending a few $100s on the front end to try to craft a proper document, a proper contract, you're spending tens of thousands in litigation to cure something that could have been prevented early on.
That's interesting. Oh my goodness. And so really to continue on with that, because of course with the focus here is the entrepreneur. Yes. And my focus mainly is the emerging, the startup and the emerging. And so this is where between that and the finances are the two areas that they try to shortchange themselves, as you said.
Yes.
So as a startup entrepreneur, what services can you provide just as a blanket, just to get them started, to make sure all of the legal aspects are in check?
Absolutely. We In addition to consultations, which are always available, we assist the startup entrepreneur with deciding what entity is best suited for them. And we also assist with drafting, if appropriate, articles of incorporation and the basic documents that are needed to be filed with the state of Maryland. In addition to that, we also assist with employee contracts, as I mentioned earlier, because entrepreneurs, a lot of them in Maryland are small business owners, 1 or 2 employees, and we may touch on this, but I wanted to touch on it now before I forget that one of the problems that I see is that, or one of the mistakes, is that business owners do not properly categorize their employees. And what I mean is, are they independent contractors or are they in fact employees?
Wow.
And the reason that distinction is so important is because you can end up in a lot of trouble and paying a lot of taxes and so forth if you haven't collected the proper taxes and categorized your employees accordingly. And a lot of times employers will say, well, I'll hire someone and let them worry about the taxes. But when you look at the day-to-day duties of that individual, they're more like an employee.
Wow.
And in fact, according to federal labor law and the Maryland Department of Licensing and Regulation, that person may in fact be an employee. And if you're not treating her as such, you can get yourself in a lot of hot water.
Wow. So the rule of thumb is consult the proper people.
Absolutely.
Get an attorney, especially if you're a startup, and we do try to go around and save the dollars in the beginning, and it does end up costing you in the long run. So definitely. So where can individuals reach out to you, business owners, individuals, because you still do family law, you still do criminal.
Right.
So where can they reach out to you if they need your services?
Well, first of all, they can reach out to me on my website at elsawsmithlaw.com. They can also connect with us on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Elsa W. Smith Law. As I mentioned at the outset, we have 2 locations. The main office is in Annapolis, and that's 410-556-0077, and in Laurel, 301-358-4340.
Wow, just incredible information. Definitely reach out to Attorney Smith if you are a small business owner and you need your legal aspects in check. Definitely. So we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to be back with our final guest, Dr. Shawn B. Israel.
Thank you, Dr. Sharon.
The enemy came up against your home. The enemy came up against your children. The enemy came up against your name. The enemy came up against your character. You will win. You will win. The enemy came up against your health. The enemy came up against your finances. The enemy came up against your vision. The enemy came up against your business. You will win. Yes, you will.
Thank you for coming back for the last segment of the I Am Dr. Sharon Show. I am here with Dr. Sean B. Israel. He is originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. He began his educational career as a social studies high school teacher in 1998. He began his administrative career as an assistant principal in 2004, having worked in school districts in Dayton and Cincinnati, Ohio. He's an adjunct professor for Trinity University. He's the director for a public charter school in Washington, D.C., and also the author of Warrior Principal. He's the owner of Educational Practitioner for Better Schools. Dr. Israel, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I love my educators. And again, I tell you, it is really something. And before we get into all that you've done, I just want to really, first of all, applaud you for being a leader of an educational institution, public charter school in D.C., and just really talk about your experience, first of all, as an educational leader.
Okay. My experience has been great. You know, I got into school leadership around 2004 after finishing my master's degree at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio.
Okay.
And, you know, to me, and that's been the most rewarding experience as being an educator. Like you said, I started my career as a social studies teacher, but being in the leadership position has been the most fulfilling because I think I've been able to use all of my skills in terms of being an entrepreneur, being a visionary, and also being an educator and affect more students as opposed to just the few students that are in my classroom.
Absolutely. And so this leadership must have really sparked the interest in you authoring the Warrior Principal.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a little.
Well, you know, my authorship is just a means for me to give back to the community and me to contribute something that's solid that people can benefit from. And so the Warrior Principal was, you know, my fourth of the 5 books that I've written. And I wanted to write a book, in particularly for urban school leaders, because that's pretty much my niche, is urban education. And I wanted to write a book that aspiring educational leaders can read the book and know what the position is really like.
Absolutely.
And also experienced principals can read it and they can get additional understanding of how to do the position better. Because once you graduate from graduate school, whether at the master's or the doctoral level, the books that you read, the articles, all of the activities and the things that go into your program, they don't focus on the urban educational experience. And so I felt that there was a void there, and I want to fill that niche.
Absolutely. And so when did you found your practitioner?
Company, right.
Yes, a Better Schools.
Educational Practitioners for Better Schools. My wife and I, we started that company in 2013.
Wow.
And we wanted to, again, provide, you know, better professional development and consulting for urban educators and urban educational institutions that serve, you know, students that come from families of low socioeconomic status. Because a lot of times the professional development that they receive, you know, is not catered to that demographic and that population that they serve. And so we wanted to put our experiences together, and we want to, you know, target those particular institutions and provide those educators and, you know, not just teachers, but principals, assistant principals, counselors, with some professional development they can actually use in the environment that they're working in.
Absolutely. So do you all go out to schools, or how does, is it an individual, or do you work with schools?
Well, we consult with individuals.
Okay.
And also we go out to the institutions at their locations and provide the professional development.
Okay, that is really awesome. And since 2013,
yes.
5 years, that's impressive. Absolutely. And so really keep it on with leadership. Leadership is my core, that's my being, specifically working with aspiring leaders in education specifically. As we go and continue to help and prepare our assistant principals and our teacher leaders to assume the role of an educational leader, what are some of your suggestions that they can do in the areas of where they are?
Okay, well, I would say they should start where they are and trying to take leadership roles there.
Absolutely.
So if you're a teacher, you can spearhead a club for students, or you can become a committee chair. If you're an assistant principal, you should just ask for as much responsibility as possible to try to learn as much about how schools operate. You should work with the parents, you should work with the students, work with teachers, get out in the community and build those community relationships and partnerships. So the more experience that you get in where you are, you can use that and leverage to the next level. I would also suggest find a mentor. Find someone that's in the position, that's doing it well, and see if they can mentor you and provide you with some guidance and some tutelage in terms of the best route to get in the position that you want to. And I would say, read, do a lot of reading. Don't just read books just because you're trying to get recertified or just take a few classes. Go to seminars, read books, as many as you can, and also read The Warrior Principle, because that book will put you in tune with what's really going on in the urban educational landscape.
And we know that in our urban schools, school climate, school culture is crucial to the success of any school, in any district actually. What are some things that you have done or have in place that really will promote a positive school climate and culture, because they are different?
Right, and actually that's the first chapter that I delve into in terms of the Warrior Principle, but I use the recurring war theme throughout the book. So I transpose learning the terrain, because that's what a general would do in a particular war setting. If they were going to war, they've had to learn the terrain. So the terrain in school leadership is school culture. And so the first thing that any principal worth a grain of salt should do is learn the existing culture of the school. And for those that aren't familiar with education, school culture is dealing with the set norms and practices within the school that people just do automatically. It also involves the traditions and the norms. And so the principal need to go in and be an observer and listen and ask questions and take all of these things in. And it doesn't happen like, in a day or two. It takes time. And so a lot of principals make the mistake. They don't learn the terrain. They just go in and they try to put their imprint on the school. And I want to try this, I want to do this. And some of these ideas that they get come from things that they've heard about or read or saw some other principals do in other schools, but you can't always take something over here and put it there. So you have to learn the school's culture, learn the traditions, learn the values that already exist. And then once you do that, that will inform your decision making on what to do and how to best move that school forward. So that's what I do personally, and that's what I also teach. That I go in, I listen, I learn, I observe, and then I take in all that information, use that to inform my decision making, and then I go in and I start plugging the holes. And then I work with the people that are already there, and collectively we form a plan or strategy to move the school forward. So it's just not about me as the principal. It's about us as a community.
I love that. And another important component is our engagement for our parent community, business partner community, and just school community in general. So what are some things that you would suggest for a new principal or aspiring principal to push that forward?
Well, it starts with, like I just mentioned, about learning the culture and being a listener and an observer. But parental engagement and community engagement is very tough in the urban setting because parents, you have a lot of students that come from disconnected families where they may stay in group homes and things of that nature. You have a lot of single parent families. You have children living with grandparents and things of that nature. So it's not a homogeneous parent population. So as an urban school principal, you have to, number one, know the top population that you're dealing with, get to know your parent population and how they're made up, and then you have to do constant outreach and connect with them. So the normal things of just sending things home through the mail and email may not work. Exactly. You have to be visible. You have to get out in the community and make your presence felt. You might have to go to the community bingo. You might have to visit different taverns and wherever it is that's going, whatever's happening in that community, you have to make your presence felt so they can get to know you. And then once they see you and see your effort, because for the most part, most principals won't be in those places. And once they see you there, then you're going to resonate with the people. And once you resonate, you build that connection and you build leverage. So, and the one thing I want to add to that, the last thing is that when you're dealing with the urban population, it's not about quantity, it's more so about quality. So you can have a good small niche of parents that really support you and they're in your corner, and you can do more with that small niche than you can with 500, 600 parents showing up at a PTA. I don't need 500. Just give me a good 10 or 50, and I can make mountains move with that.
I love that. And so where can they find Warrior Principal?
It's everywhere. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. You can also find it at my website at epbsconsultants.com. And everywhere education books are sold.
That's awesome. And what, do you have a social media following, professional following?
Yeah, of course on LinkedIn, and I also have a page on Facebook called Dr. Sean Israel Publications.
Awesome. I tell you, Dr. Israel, it has been a pleasure, and definitely look forward to reading Warrior Principal and really understanding, because again, when I work with my new assistant principal and new principals, always looking for dynamic resources to share with them. So I really appreciate that.
All right, thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
thank you.
Right,
and guys, I thank you for joining me for another session of the I Am Dr. Sharon Show. I thank all of my guests, Dr. Sean B. Israel, Mr. Joe Green, Ms. Ann Austin, and attorney Elsa Smith. And as always, the bigger the dream, the harder the grind. Push, pray, and continue to grind.
Up against your home. The enemy came up against your children. The enemy came up against your name. The enemy came up against your character. You will win. You will win. Came up against your health. The enemy came up against your finances. The enemy came up against your vision. The enemy came up against your business. You will